This one was taken from IGN's Matt Kim and says, Microsoft is reportedly... You're not doing that again to me, Crash. You're not.
What?
You're not going to do your on me,
I don't know
you?
if you noticed, but you say stuff, and I always like give you a.
No, you give me like a that's a podcast. That makes sense. But I don't need your.
Okay. No, that one time was bad. Fine.
Microsoft is reportedly interested in acquiring Warner Brothers Interactive, following the news that the parent company AT&T is looking into possibly selling the video game developer arm of Warner Brothers. However, a sale is not currently imminent. The information is reported that alongside companies like Activision, EA, and Take-Two, Microsoft is interested in acquiring WB Interactive and in its several game developers. Whoever acquires WB Interactive will likely purchase the studios like Avalanche, Monolith Productions, NetherRealm Studios, Rocksteady Studios, TT Games, and various WB studios across the globe. It's important to note that acquiring WB Interactive will not mean any of its interested companies like Microsoft Activision will own characters like Batman or Harry Potter. Instead, potential buyers will have to negotiate licensing deals so studios like Rocksteady can still create new games based on DC Comics or any other Warner Bros. Characters. However, certain properties like Mortal Kombat will be included in the sale of NetherRealm Studios. Acquiring WB Interactive will massively increase the number of Xbox game studios. Microsoft already purchased high-profile developers including Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Double Fine, and more. A WB Interactive purchase will add studios like NetherRealm and potentially the license to the DC and Harry Potter games, similar to how Insomniac has the license to develop Spider-Man for PlayStation. Crash.
Yes.
We have a question coming straight in off the bat. I don't know where I'm at with that one. Do you think apparent caveats involved in the sale, licensing, etc., will deter some some people from purchase? Will the studio be a part of the purchase, or is it solely an IP sale? So I think we already got that. That was taken from damn it, I've missed who that was taken from. I need to quickly go. I need to find that. No. The question was from someone from the community.
It was Luke.
Despawn. No, Slayer.
Was
no,
Despawn?
Slayer's got
Slayer
one.
asked a different
it was
question.
Despawn. It was Despawn. Shout out to Despawn. I apologize. Paul Despawn. Thank you for the question.
Got it.
So obviously that's been cleared up. This is just the studios. They'll have to negotiate licensing agreements.
I thought that's what the story was last week as well.
It was, but we just didn't have it confirmed. It feels like it felt like we spoke about this last week. You bring that up, and it was very much that EA and 2K, Take-Two, were interested, and we were both like, oh no, both those companies that are microtransaction heavy. We both mentioned that Microsoft would be brilliant if they bought this. I didn't think
that Microsoft was definitely talking to them, right?
We assumed.
Yeah.
We assume now we have confirmation is the important part. The leaks coming out from all these people and especially when IGN reports on it, it's. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They've reported on some weird things lately. But yeah, for the sake of this conversation, this is the question I want to put towards you. Yep. Should Microsoft? Crash has got a Red Bull. Everyone, we're in for a good show. Should Microsoft buy WB?
It depends on the price. I think what was the price that was going around, like $2 billion?
4.
Yeah. No.
Why?
What IPs do you get with them? I don't think it's just about the studios. I think it's the IPs. And it's like, is it $4 billion including the?
No, we're not. It's not. Well, yeah, no. Yes. So I think it would be. Let's take it as it's negotiated. That it's $4 billion with a licensing agreement in place that Xbox would get Batman and Harry Potter and stuff like that. I can't. I'm not. I don't know. I know. Yeah.
This is where I'm going with it. Like, if it's 10 years, I don't think it's worth it.
Damn. Yeah.
Like, if it's 20 years, I don't think it's worth it. Because I think in the beginning, any Batman game that comes out in the beginning, I don't think it'll be exclusive, right? I think those will continue to be multi-platform because Microsoft wants to recoup their cost. and you'd be cutting out a large market if you cut out Sony in that.
So you think they did the Minecraft thing with this, where it's like, hey, we own it, you're gonna buy it, and then we're gonna make the money off it still, and then we see how obviously Minecraft was a lot of money as well. So
I with this, I think down the line somewhere they'd be like, yeah, Batman's an exclusive, a full exclusive, right? Once they get back a portion, I don't think they need to get it all back, but I think they need to get a decent amount back. I don't really know what IPs come with it, like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's a good.
So that's the one that comes with. That would be one that would come with it. Would come with NetherRealm.
Yeah, that'd be good. But you don't get Harry Potter. You don't get Batman. You would with the leasing, but how long does that last?
Not 10, 20 years. I can tell you that already.
That's what I'm saying. And for $4 billion, like that's a lot of money. I'd rather them outright buy studios, other studios.
Well, they would outright buy these. They just wouldn't have the licensing.
That's what I'm saying.
But okay, so I'm on two sides of this, right? Where part A of me is like, obviously they should go to get this. These studios are proven studios that make. When we talk about Xbox, or at least when I talk about Xbox, and we talk about their first party lineup, I think what always comes along with it is they don't have a studio currently. They might have it now, but they didn't have a studio that was producing a 10 out of 10 game, or even on that level. I feel like Correlation got very close with Gears 5, which we'll talk about later on, because I put out a tweet about that. So got very close for me. But other than that, I suppose you could say Turn 10 and maybe even Playground with the Forza series. But because I don't play those games, to me, they're never going to be 10 out of 10 in my head. And it's a weird one with that. These studios.
So,
go on.
What studio do you think is proven? Rocksteady?
NetherRealm. NetherRealm's the first one that comes to my head that is proven, guaranteed every time they put out a Mortal Kombat game. No one goes, this is a bad Mortal Kombat game.
If you go back, yeah.
Okay.
If you go back before like Mortal Kombat 9, people weren't feeling Mortal Kombat. There was like a really long patch where people were not feeling Mortal Kombat. Then Mortal Kombat 9 comes back and people are like, oh, they got it again.
So 2011.
Like, they keep going with it, and then you get what comes out after Injustice? It would be Mortal Kombat X, and people are like, oh wow, the character models are starting to look better, and then you get Injustice 2 and so on and so forth. They are good now, but that's also just fighting games.
That's taken a decade to get there.
Market. Yeah. And then Rocksteady's an amazing developer. I don't want to knock anything they've done. I love the Batman games. But what have they done outside of Batman? Like, I don't think they're proven. I don't think until you make me a game that's outside of Batman that you knock out of the park. That's why I'm kind of weary about the Suicide Squad game. It's not that I don't think they could do absolutely amazing with a Suicide Squad game. It's what am I getting? What's the gameplay going to look like? And how is Rocksteady going to deliver on it? Not that I don't think they're talented, because I do think they're talented.
Oh, there's no question that they're talented. They're a fantastic studio. That's not even... I happen to agree with you, which is if you take away Batman, what can you do? But I do think they can do great things. And I think a new IP from Rocksteady could be absolutely amazing. Imagine that level of detail in a game like Batman. Again, I'm not even like a huge Batman fan, but I played the Batman games and they're amazing. They're amazing games. Like,
yeah, absolutely. But
I don't think they're amazing games because they're Batman though. For me,
I agree.
Just because they're great games.
I agree. They're great games because they let you beat Batman. Like, I don't think if they were like, okay, here, let's make a game from scratch. I don't think they necessarily come with Batman. I think they're like, let's make a Batman game. This is how we'd want to play Batman. This is how the combat should be. This is how the stealth should be.
Got ya.
And that's how they made it, right?
Got ya.
And I'm not saying that like they've had years to like perfect how they do everything. I'm not saying you give them like, hey, make your own game. They wouldn't knock it out of the park. I really want to reiterate that because it does sound like I'm being a little bit.
No. I think you're just giving a different perspective. If I'm honest with you. If you're giving me a snapshot, I'll answer the question right now. I say they do it. I say they do it because what do you think Mortal Kombat's worth on its own?
Mortal Kombat? I wouldn't know. I don't know the price for IPs. I don't know exactly how well Mortal Kombat sells.
That's what I was just about to check. Give me Mortal Kombat. What's the newest one?
11.
11 sales. Interesting. Super Data results back up claims with the company reporting that Mortal Kombat 11 was the best digital launch in the franchise history, selling 1.8 million digital copies, a huge increase from Mortal Kombat 10, which sold 400,000 copies in 2015. So that's just digital 1.8. So yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
It's,
like
it's
they
big.
do good.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's big.
They hit the mainstream
But-
market. People watch videos of all the fatalities and all that stuff. It gets buzz around it, and maybe Microsoft does need that, but I don't know if that's valued at $4 billion because it is
Yeah.
expensive, right? It is very costly,
I'd
and
love-
maybe there's IPs that I'm not thinking of, and like because Mortal Kombat's the only one I can think of. Maybe they do have IPs where it's like, oh, it would be worth it for them to get.
No,
this,
I don't
right?
think they're buying this for the IP.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And that, to be fair, it is a lot of studios bundled up.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is a good amount of studios.
Yeah.
But you'd have to go through, and this is where Microsoft's doing their work. They're like, here's all the studios they have, here's the worth of this studio and the worth of this studio, and let's see the leasing agreements. How long is the leasing for Batman? How long is the leasing for Harry Potter? How long is the leasing for Mordor? And all this stuff.
Yeah.
Predator would probably be in that, right? That WB owns that.
I haven't got a clue, man. I'm not a Predator guy.
I'm pretty sure WB owns that. That's why he's a character in the Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah.
So they could get a good amount of IPs with the leasing agreement, but it depends how long that leasing is, right?
Fox own it. So
Does
that means
Fox own it?
that means
Never mind.
Disney own it. Yeah.
Yeah, so forget that.
Or maybe that's the
Um,
old games. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what
No,
it says
you're
on.
probably
That's
right.
what it says on
You're probably right.
Wikipedia. Produced and
just know a lot
distributed by
of-
20th Century Fox.
No, you're probably right. I just do know that a lot of the guest characters in Mortal Kombat game tend to be WB owned.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, though. With you need to separate each of these studios, really see what they bring, really see what they're worth. Again, I think this is the question. Insomniac went for 250 million, right? If I'm not mistaken, to Sony, and
Yeah.
they have a lot of IP with them. With that, other than just the creative talent that's there, which is amazing, there's a lot of IP that come with that for 250 million. I don't think NetherRealm is worth 250 million on its own.
I don't either.
So then you've got to figure out how are they worth 100 mil? Cool.
Yeah,
so
but
then what's Rocksteady worth?
You have to also think about what Insomniac brings. Insomniac has two teams developing AAA games, and then Insomniac also develops VR games.
Yeah.
And
No,
PlayStation has
100%.
VR. So I'm just saying the value they have intrinsically, like a lot more value,
Yeah.
just because they do so much as well than NetherRealms that makes one game, and Rocksteady that makes one game, right?
Yeah. Could
So I don't know. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, could you not see? As I was saying, I disagree with myself, hence why I stopped myself. But it was like, could you not see NetherRealm making something other than Mortal Kombat? I could see it, but I don't see it doing well.
I don't see Microsoft buying NetherRealm and being like, yeah, we're gonna let you make a game other than Mortal Kombat.
Not at the start. Definitely not at the start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they've
Yeah.
talked. I don't know if I'd want to get them because Ed Boon, the head of NetherRealms, has talked about how they want to make games other than Mortal Kombat, and I don't think you buy them and like we're gonna force you to make it Mortal Kombat now, right?
Yeah.
Because that's already bad relations, right there.
But do you not think that maybe it could be? This is what I say when I do YouTube content and stuff. It's like and like Twitch content. It's like one for them, one for me, one for them, one for me. Do you think that conversation could have been had where it's like, all right, we need you to make Mortal Kombat because we know this is going to sell 1 million plus. So and then you can go and make whatever it is you want to make. Then back to Mortal Kombat. Then back to whatever you want to do.
That works in a YouTube sense, but the problem with video games is video games are very expensive.
Yeah,
and it's very long.
time consuming.
So
You're
one for
right.
you, one for me is great, but what if the one you do for me ends up failing? It's like, no, I want another one. Don't like that. That didn't hit the mark for me.
Yeah.
And maybe Microsoft's like not in that mind state. You hear Phil Spencer and all this, but that's all public talk. Who knows what happens behind the doors, right?
100%.
If we're gonna be pessimistic, that doesn't happen behind the doors. Does it possibly happen sometimes? Maybe they're like really like chummy and like, yeah, you can do whatever. And I'm sure they are with a lot of the studios they get is like they have trust in them. But this is $4 billion. It is expensive.
Yeah, I hope I got that number right. I'm pretty sure it was 4 billion. I believe so. If not, email in and let me know if I'm wrong. So, answer the question. Should Xbox buy
No.
WB? You say no, I say yes.
I say no.
Okay. Xbox is the only company out there between the three hardware manufacturers who could buy them.
I also think that it's
Do you think
a lot of places that were reporting it were saying Microsoft's buying it.
Yeah,
Microsoft's
Microsoft is buying it. Yeah, of course.
Microsoft is Xbox, but Microsoft is also a business where I think if Microsoft buys it, because it's coming out with like Microsoft's going out to buy it, I do think for sure
No, that's
that the first few we get for sure the first few we get are multi-platform.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
No, that's where I was going with like anywhere else, like in the long run and all this.
But I was gonna say, but that same thing happened with Double Fine and stuff like that. Like it was reported as Microsoft bought them because it is Microsoft.
No,
Microsoft own
fair.
Xbox. It's not.
That's fair.
It's nothing more than that. Yeah.
I always go back to the day where like Microsoft wanted nothing to do with Xbox.
Yeah, that's not how it is anymore.
No, you're absolutely correct, and you should correct me every time I go back to that mindset.
I agree. I agree. When there was rumors they were selling it.
Xbox, like, we're gonna sell you guys. We don't like you guys.
Yeah.
They were bullies.
Yeah, it's not like that no more. And at the top, from what we know.
Yeah.
All right, we come down. I'm a yes or a no. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.